Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee with Craig. This is where we talk about gun rights, Second Amendment rights. We talk about guns, firearms, in culture, movies, politics, you name it. We invite you to join the conversation, invite you to invite your friends to join the conversation. How do you do that? You simply like and share this video so that all of your friends, once again, can join us in the conversation. Yesterday, I talked to you about a bill that we actually did a live feed on, and this is a Washington state bill. It's one of the most outrageous bills that I've heard, and it's offered by Washington State Senate Democrat. His name is Sam Hunt. Now, Sam Hunt had this bright idea that, if you have a concealed carry permit, right, meaning you've got a background check, you've been vetted, yada, yada, yada. You are the very definition of a law-abiding citizen. That before you go into someone else's home or domicile, you should have to get permission prior to being able to carry a firearm on that individual's property. Now, I won't even begin to get into some of the real problems with this particular bill. Let's just put it this way. First of all, we'll start off, and I'll give you a chance to hear from one of the organizations. This is Rebecca Johnson with Washington Alliance for Responsible Guns or Responsible Gun Ownership. She'll kind of give you a brief idea of kind of their perspective on why this bill is so important.
Good morning, Chair Peterson and members of the committee. Rebecca Johnson here on behalf of the Alliance for Gun Responsibility. Ms. Cover didn't share her whole story, but I think you have it in your emails. But as Senator Hunt described, she had a gathering at her home, and when everyone left, there was an unsecured firearm sitting on the steps. Again, we're all very lucky that there were no young children in the home. And we're here testifying in support of this policy because we think it's part of a larger conversation that's important to have about firearms in homes, about making sure they're safe, and also about homeowners being able to have conversations with folks who are coming into their home about whether or not they're bringing firearms.
Okay, so let's talk about this conversation. First of all, let's start the conversation with the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The people's right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So whenever we start any conversation, let's start with that. All right? Once again, the right to keep, meaning the ability to be able to own, the right to bear, meaning to be able to have with you, to have it with you in order to be able to, once again, to exercise your fundamental human right to be able to defend yourself. But let's talk about from the perspective where she's talking about. Now, here's kind of the impetus behind the bill. So there's a lady who testified, and I'll share with you a snippet of her testimony in a minute. She had a gathering at her home, and after she left, what shall we call them? Let me think of a good word. An idiot left their firearm on the stairs in this woman's home. Somehow there was an unsecured firearm, once again, just left on the stairs at this woman's home. And she, needless to say, was dismayed. And I think if I too would be concerned if I just found a random firearm just sitting on the stairs or sitting on the floor somewhere in my home that was not mine. I say that from the perspective of you don't know who could potentially have had access to this firearm. So my concern here, I think, is the same as theirs. But the issue isn't whether or not someone should be able to have a concealed carry, should be able to conceal carry. The issue here is some idiot who left his firearm sitting on the stairs. You guys know what I'm talking. You guys know what the issue is. So when we talk about responsibility and having that conversation, any individual, first of all, and this was pointed out earlier, was that first of all, there's such a thing called criminal trespassing, meaning that if someone is on your property and you tell them they must leave, right? So that is already the law, and you have the ability to tell individuals if you have a firearm on you, firearms are not welcome on my property. You already have the ability to do that. So you tell people, if you have a firearm, please don't come onto my property. If they come onto your property, they are now trespassing. That's already the law. Why does someone need to get permission prior? Well, I'll tell you why they believe that. And it has very little to do with the actual, keeping people safe. It has more to do with anti-gun individuals' desire, to, keep you evil people who want guns from being near them.
In the interest of time, I would only point out that persons who do not like guns should have certain rights too. It should be my right to protect the sanctity of my home. This bill will help me keep guns out of my own home, even if I cannot avoid guns anywhere else.
Now we see. Her goal is to avoid guns everywhere else. She doesn't want anyone to have a gun, and let alone in her home. And she doesn't want to have to be burdened with the she doesn't want to have to be burdened with, she doesn't want to be burdened with acknowledging someone else's right. No, she just wants her rights protected. Her right to not be around those evil, nasty people who want to have a firearm just because they want to defend themselves, they're evil. But that's really what it is about. This is an individual who's not worried about safety. She just doesn't like guns and doesn't like people who like guns. Well, we all know that there's a number of fundamental flaws with this particular measure. And Phil Watson, who is our good friend there in the state of Washington and our legislative advocate, he had a few things to say about this particular measure.
Despite many legitimate reasons for people carrying legal concealed firearms, the irony of this bill is clear and will never be lost on the public. While one of the safest segments of our society, background-checked and fingerprinted concealed carry holders will be forced to speak out about their status as such, convicted criminals, sex offenders, murderers, drug addicts, individuals with restraining and protective orders, the mentally insane, undocumented aliens, and those with communicable diseases will not bear that same burden.
So Phil did a great job of just pointing out once again that, while you're going to require law-abiding citizens, the very definition of law-abiding citizens, while you're going to require them to, every time they go to someone's home, tell people, oh yeah, I have a gun, the very people that you are seeking to protect, that they are trying to protect themselves from, the criminals, the terrorists, the mentally ill, the people who are the problem, and not all mentally ill, but you know what I mean. They don't have to say anything. Well, maybe they have to, but they're not going to. There's nothing there that will compel them to. But then again, Phil also points out what is, in my opinion, the most obvious point.
In addition, disclosing you have legally concealed firearms runs counter to the very purpose of concealing them in the first place and can cause undue confusion, panic, and unwarranted alarm from those not familiar with guns.
Oh my God, there's a gun! Oh my God, there's a gun! Oh my God, there's a gun! That is exactly what this lady would have done. That is exactly how things would have gone down. The fact is, what Phil is talking about here is the whole point of a concealed carry permit is that it's supposed to be concealed so that individuals like this lady who doesn't like guns and doesn't like to be around people who have a gun, so that they can feel safe. While at the same time, at least they can know that if an individual does have a concealed carry permit, that this individual has been vetted and is legal. That they've gone through the background check. They're of good moral character. But they don't care about that. That is absolutely no. Instead, she puts the law-abiding citizen in the same exact place as the criminal. Well, no, actually, let me take that back. She puts them behind them because, well, the criminal is still going to be able to carry in her home because, well, she's not going to ask anybody, are you carrying a firearm? Nope, she's not going to ask them. If you have an issue with it, my attitude is ask. That's just my opinion. Now, there was one other point that was brought up that I hadn't even thought of, and I thought Phil just did a fantastic job. He was asked the question about, what are some legitimate reasons why someone would carry a firearm to someone else's property? And, aside from just the casual, well, hey, I'm already carrying, and, maybe Fred invites me over to the house, and I take the firearm with me. But there's also one that a point that he made that I just thought I thought that made a lot of sense in regarding to professionals who actually often wind up on other people's property.
There are hundreds of thousands of professionals in this state who go onto other people's property every day. For example, real estate agents, electricians, people who are home repair, all these professions that go on other people's property. Who the homeowner may not even be home, so they're often left by themselves with thousands of dollars sometimes of their own equipment there. And they're a target.
Once again, I don't know that I could have said it any better. The thing is that this is an asinine bill. It really is. If an individual doesn't want someone with a concealed carry permit, if they don't want them carrying concealed on their property, there's already a recourse. So anyway, I think Phil, hats off to you. It was a very interesting hearing. Now tomorrow they're actually going to be I believe they're going to be voting on the bill tomorrow. So encourage you guys to get active. Just look at the Take Action link to this. It's in the description of this video. Let them know how stupid a bill this is. Please just take a moment to do that. This is an idea that I trust you is not going to end here. It's not going to end in Washington State. But we told you guys, look, they're trying to build a West Coast wall of gun control from Washington all the way down through California. They want to do it in Oregon. They want to do it in Nevada. They're going to work on making sure that they do their best to take our rights here on the West Coast. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the fight for civil rights. Please remember to like and share these videos and let everybody know about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.